very good morning to everyone. And today's session is going to be titled Leadership for Teams. And I am sure most of your schools are covering topics on leadership. And I did visit few of schools. I do see Shashank here from Epistema, right? So, and just trying to recognize any other folks that I'm familiar with. So thank you all for joining this session. And we're going to discuss few things, not really getting into the definitions of leadership, rather than, we'll try to identify different dimensions and why there is a need for leadership today and going forward, considering the COVID crisis, as well as considering, the rapid change that has occurred in every individual's life, starting with the high schoolers, with their parents, working people, government, everywhere. So we're trying to bring this awareness and, give a holistic approach towards how we can probably, collectively tackle this situation. And a quick introduction about myself. Yes, I'm Srikanth, Talluri. We've been a technology transformation consultant for a while, and did establish InCube recently, and we are working on various initiatives. So more details can be followed at our website, www.goincube.com. All right. So, and yeah, I mean, what InCube specifically does is, we are focusing on 5 areas. We are, yes, a non-profit organization, and we are working towards, bringing awareness, creating the right mindset, a clear right mindset required in this space, and of the skills that is required for individually, life skills, as well as at the industry level. So we work with the industry folks, working professionals on their skill development, competency building, as well as at the high school and college level as well. Works is where it's more like, people get involved into the activity-based learning, or venture-based learning is our proprietary methodology. So all those details, yes, pretty much available in the internet and across our social channels. So I don't want to get deep into those. And ventures are, of course, the startups and the new product innovations that we're planning to get here in this part of the world through the Industry 4.0 digital ecosystem. That's InCube, right? So, and we are a team of around 50 plus change makers from across the world, and it's growing. We're happy for their contributions on a voluntary note in order to, bring the baseline up, upwards, and change the orientation of the young minds and give them, that kind of an exposure and experience with various aspects of innovation, as well as, entrepreneurship. So yeah, for today's scope of discussion, we'll first go ahead with defining what leadership is, defining not in terms of the paper-based definitions and all. All right, and this session today is going to be interactive. And since we have, more participant community, so oral discussions, I don't think is really possible here, considering, the conflict. And also, I would suggest we use the chat window as well as Slack workspace. So I did post a URL in the chat window. So I'll give you around 10 minutes of time in between, to go ahead and quickly sign up for the Slack and join the workspace as such. Okay. So the first activity is going to be, we'll first define what leadership is. And most of you, I'm assuming, would have had these sessions at your schools as well as your colleges. And I want it to be more of, as I mentioned, as an interactive thing. And I want you guys to define what leadership is in not more than 6 words. So you can use the chat window. You can just, print your answers in the next 5 minutes. So what leadership means to you, or how do you define leadership? What is leadership to you? That's not more than 6 words. And I'm waiting for your answers. All right, collaboration and team management. Okay, that's from Arish Khan. Confidence, Archita. Okay, right from Avantika, leadership is taking up a certain responsibility. All right, teamwork from Akhil, standing for the cause always, Jaya. Leadership collaboration, Bhavita. Okay, the art of motivating people, encouraging people, perfect, motivating. That's from Ketan. Shashank, taking up responsibility, all right. Vrinda, it's an organization, okay, organization skills, okay. Showing what is right by having different tenets, such as responsibility and perseverance, perfect. Karthik, influence, all right. Janki Rani, leadership is having a vision and mission to lead your group, perfect. So having a mission and working towards a mission, all right. Dogmatism, okay. Akhil. Sai, being able to take the initiative, perfect. That's the confidence, sir. Okay. So moving forward with your team, perfect. Aikya, showing what is responsibility, Hasini. Danvik, leading, of course. This is Partha Vesta, all right, Partha. Leadership is ensuring development of the people around you. Perfect. Development, focusing on development, okay. And leadership is a skill exhibited by a person to collaborate his or her team. All right, we got this collaboration and team management. Perfect. This is from Siddharth Nair. Vibhor, the ability to lead. Perfect. Shashank, again, able to make the right choices in tough times. Perfect. So decision making, right? This is how I take it, Shashank. Directing people to do right in their lives. All right. So direction. I think this was already mentioned. So giving direction. Perfect. So we do have 2 more minutes for this exercise. Okay. Directing people to do the right thing. Okay. Natasha Sevella, the ability to direct people in the right direction. Perfect. Ayushi, all right, same, directing people. Perfect. Srujana, being able to motivate your team in order to achieve a common goal. Perfect. Motivation. Krishna Sri, inspiration and motivation. Perfect. Inspire others. Kavita, the skill of making practical and convenient plans for the right cause. Yes, practicality is, this is good. This is from Siddharth Nair. Urjita, the ability to build yourself as well as help others to reach their full potential. Good. So helping others to the maximum extent. Okay. Harsha, ability to do something. Okay. And leadership is a characteristic which helps push other people, sorry, to be the best they can. Perfect. So we're left with 30 more seconds. Okay. Taking initiative and doing something. All right. The torchbearer. Okay, to manage yourself and others. Yeah, self as well as group management. Okay, self management. I'll take this from here. So 10 more seconds. Supervising. Okay, this is from Venkat. Navantika again, to guide everyone to their goal or their target. Perfect. All right. We'll just end this session here for now. Thank you guys for those responses. Siddharth Nair, the art of communicating with people proudly and with confidence to influence them. Perfect. Yeah. So I would take influence and communication from here. Okay. Effective communication. All right. So getting back to our exercise now. So from all the responses, right, I'll quickly read out the responses and what we had here and how we derived them. Okay, self-management, okay, practicality, torch bearer, being a torch bearer, helping others, motivating others, giving direction to the people or society, organization of things, okay, or organizing capabilities, all right, and of course team and collaboration, confidence, responsibility, effective communication, working on a mission, or development of people, decision making, dogmatism, influencing others. All right, fine. So all these, the answers that's been printed, okay, your perceptions or your understanding. If we have to categorize, right, I would say, we probably can, all these can fit into these three categories. One is the trait, which is going to be a natural quality, and all right, I'm still getting responses. Saharsh, finding the strengths and weaknesses of teammates and helping them using that. Perfect, yeah. So I request everyone to, close the chat window and just focus on our discussion. So we're done with the previous exercise now. It was a good participation. So leadership, to define, or, and to categorize leadership, we would probably, can categorize them into three dimensions. One would be, the first one would be a trait which comes naturally, and most of these traits, I think, most of the people have these traits at home, at the social level, even in the schools or colleges, your professional lives, definitely, we do have those natural qualities, inherent qualities, where we take leadership based on the situation. And the second category would be skill. This is something which people get trained on. It's not something which comes out of your natural abilities. There are few leadership skills which need practice, which need training, and which comes only by, a lot of perseverance and consistent efforts as such. Like, your communication. I mean, from your answers, if I have to identify a few, okay, communication is something which comes by practice. I'm not talking about the vocabulary, your grammar stuff and all. Effectively communicating specific to the topic, specific to the situation. All right. So it involves your subject knowledge. It involves your, understanding of the things, or the frameworks as such. So this is a mix of here, I mean, like the communication at work or at schools or at your professional aspects is a skill. All right. It can be categorized as a skill. And the third category, I would say, is a compulsion. How would we define this compulsion state? You can, now, you can get back to the chat window, okay? And do you agree with leadership as a compulsion? If yes, what could be those scenarios? We'll just use 2 minutes from now. Just turn on your timers, and the next 2 minutes you can print. If you agree leadership evolves, or it comes out of compulsion, or it has to pop out of compulsion, what could be such scenarios where leadership becomes a compulsion? To wait for your answers. Where do you think leadership is a compulsion? Have to. We're all well aware of the traits, aspects, and the skill aspects and all, but where is, all right, Akhil, I get first response from Arish. Yes, when people want to meet targets. Good. Okay. And when someone has to take charge to prevent chaos, Akhil. Okay. To prevent chaos. All right. Any more answers? Shashank. Leadership becomes a compulsion when, let's take an example where I'm leading a group and fall sick, then my subordinate is forced to take up the charge, even though he or she doesn't want to lead. Okay. All right. So, unavoidable circumstances. All right. Good. At work. When people are in danger. Okay. Good. And people are trying to achieve something. Good, Pavita. Uh, and in a group. Okay. Venkat. Hasini Verma. When people strive to do something. Okay. A very tangential answer. Okay. Uh, I don't know, Lenovo tab 4. I request everyone to rename themselves in the chat window so I can identify with your names. So, all right, when we are determined about changing something or someone, okay, compulsion in leadership is necessary where someone is not fully aware of an initiative that helps them. Compulsion is necessary to convince people. Perfect. Yeah, this is from Mahita. And Siddharth Nair, when a person has to bring neatness and organize a situation. Perfect. And I feel leadership has to come from your heart. Okay. And you shouldn't be forced to do this. Okay. Leadership can be compulsion when they're trying to achieve something with a deadline. This is from Saharsh. So Saharsh will discuss this point in the upcoming slides. All right. So I'm making note of this. This is good. Manage limited resources. This is from Janki Rani. Mahita says, okay, it's part of it. I'm sorry. Compulsion in leadership is necessary. Got it. Ujjita, maximize efficiency. So I'm going to end this exercise now. Neela, when someone misunderstands your decision and tries to demean you, okay, so more of confrontation. Okay, and having a goal makes a person to achieve anything or anything to achieve it. Okay, achieving a goal with dedication. Krishna Sri and Devashish Acharya. I joined late, so can anyone please repeat this question? Okay, so when does leadership becomes a compulsion, Devashish? We were not trying to give any bookish definitions in this workshop. Rather, we're just trying to understand your perspective of leadership. And so this is for Devashish Acharya. All right, so while Devashish and others are trying to pick up with this exercise, I would request everyone to quickly go ahead and configure your Slack workspaces. Just click on the link. I'll quickly repaste the link again, the URL. Just give me one moment. Okay? Right, this is Kaumudi. All right, Kaumudi, yeah. So I just pasted a URL for Slack's workspace. Request everyone to quickly click on it. It's straightforward. It's like signing up to any of your social workspaces or social, channels as such. So this is where we're going to collaborate. Okay, even collaboration is part of leadership. Okay, so let's use this workspace for a quick collaboration. We're going to give you more exercises and once you're done with signing up and your workspace is ready, you can just quickly raise your hand. There is an option in Zoom where you can just raise your hand to just let us know, okay, you're done, or you can even use the chat window for the same, all right? Mm-hmm. I do see Aikya Oruganti joined, Tanvita Kunchi, Jaya, Ketan Chaudhary, Krishnasri Urjita, Pardavesa, Ram, Reshmi, Shashank, Vibhor. So you're going to get used to this kind of learning activities in the next academic year for sure. I'm not sure how it went till now, but considering the COVID crisis and the lockdowns and the restrictions, I'm sure most of you have already begun this mode of learning, collaboration using the tools like Google Classrooms or your Office 365 or Zoom and Slack. So Slack is more on the corporate lines, but and you can definitely use these tools for your classroom collaboration as well, all right? So what are those different zones where we think or where you think, leadership should be reflected, all right? Where we have to, we've discussed those different dimensions of leadership. Let's get back to there. One is a trait, the natural quality, which every human being possesses in terms of, those leading qualities as such. And the other one is an acquired quality, which comes out of, a lot of practice, perseverance, and of course from the situations and from, your experiences as such. And the third quality or the third dimension, I'm sorry, is compulsion, when we are forced into a situation and where there is no other go, and people have to accept the fact that okay, we are in a forced situation and there is no second option. We are supposed to take lead of the situation, all right? So where do we apply these three dimensions, all right? Of course, one in the personal life, at homes and in your families as such, all right? And professional lives, and for student community, of course, it's at your schools with your classmates and within your campus with your juniors, seniors as such, and your curriculum as well as extracurricular activities, wherever these aspects that you guys have mentioned, right? Communication, collaboration, confidence, responsibility, teamwork, all these things, pop up in the schools, colleges, and within your classroom activities as such. And at a social scope, this is at a larger scope, okay? So it starts with your community, but outside your family, and it scales up to your state or a nation or your city, nation, as and at a global scale. Okay, so let's try to explore these three arenas or zones where we come up with the leadership reflections and how we actually take it forward. So, all right, Ketan, yeah, I got your message. Good that you're here now. All right. So, personal level, okay. Yeah, this starts with the self discipline, and on a day-to-day basis, there are a lot of areas where we'll have to maintain, the self leadership, starting with your personal discipline and extending it to your day-to-day activities, and you're maintaining your timings, maintaining your the cleanliness of your rooms or your house, whatever, and at a scope of self as well as at the family level. There are a lot of tasks, there are a lot of situations where we present or we bring these traits, natural traits, into picture, where we bring few acquired skills and a few out of compulsion again. So I want guys to probably print uh, or think about situations where now we'll map those qualities, whatever the qualities that we're going to identify now at the personal scope. Okay, map it to uh, the one of those dimensions. Is it a trait? Okay, communication, is it a trait at the personal scope, or leading the situation at home? Is it out of a compulsion? Where do you do it? Okay, and you can print your answers either in the Slack workspace, or identify those two or three scenarios in your personal life. Okay, and in the current situation, today's situation. Okay, not need not be in the general situation. We are basically in a situation of COVID-19 or corona or SARS-CoV-2, and there is lockdown for the next few weeks or few months. This might continue. Okay, and yes, we have restrictions in going out, we have restrictions at home. And I know with the teen age, again, we want to go explore, go around with friends, just hang around with stuff, and just go watch your TVs all the time, or not just the negative things, and even just go with the books all the time. Or there are a lot of things which now on a day-to-day basis that we have to execute only from home. You're restricted, right? This is a situation of compulsion now for everyone. Okay, so there are few spaces where we have to present this leadership qualities, all right, in the compulsion situation as well. So identify those two or three scenarios. Okay, and just take 10 minutes of time, and you can print those answers in Slack. I want to just give you guys one update from our end. Is like, all your answers will be considered for possible internship with the AI journal team in the storytelling. So take it as a serious activity. Okay, we do have already 2 interns from Epistemo School working with us. All right, so I'm gonna give the opportunity to work with our team, the journal team, and these exercises I would recommend take it seriously. And in the next 10 minutes, whatever you think about, just print it. And we do have the workspace where you can again refine your answers and then come back after the session as well. But in this session, for the next 10 minutes, this is going to be your activity. Identify 2 to 3 scenarios in your personal life where leadership within the family and within you, with yourself, becomes a compulsion rather than trait and skill. Trait and skill is something which we already follow. Let's focus at the compulsion scope, okay, for now. So I'm waiting for your answers in Slack. So we're not going to evaluate any of them. So your answers for this exercise can be submitted in the Slack workspace. All right. So I'll just quickly go ahead with why we need to, you know, come up, or we need to, we'll discuss about the compulsion scenario. Traits and skills are pretty much, you practice at home out of your comfort zones with the parents, with the family members, and you take up the responsibilities at home, you communicate things at home. This is good. And considering the current situation, right? So today's scope, we are more focused on, the current COVID-19 situation, and why we are anticipating, or why leadership is anticipated from, teenage age group, from the kids at home, in order to maintain harmony at home. So the problem is now, the world, this is not a panic statement or anyone, but yes, there is a lot of uncertainty in terms of, moving out, in terms of work things, in terms of the schools, in terms of how we're going to have our day-to-day lives. All right. So when everything happens from home, schooling, working, and in the 24-hour window, in the small spaces, right? We're all like, working with our things as such. So this is where, even parents, your parents, okay, they will go through a lot of stress, as well as, they'll get busy with their unusual working styles. Okay, not everyone has the luxury of working from homes, working remotely as such. So this is a situation where I request everyone to understand, okay, the situation, or the panic, or the kind of compulsion which is mounted on every individual in the family. Okay, the elders, your elders in the family, as well as the youngest in the family. Okay, you might have younger brothers, sisters. Okay, this is, I'm not trying to give any messages, but this is the fact. Okay, it's applicable to everyone now, and this is where, yes, we need to actually come up and showcase our leadership abilities in terms of taking that responsibility. All right, in terms of showing the maturity in understanding things. Okay, now spending on our personal gadgets, or spending on, spending is something where we need to really cut down on spendings. And also being stubborn. I do have a son who is going to a second class, so he's not yet into his teenage. So I do understand, how things work as a father. And when I was a teenager, yeah, I had a lot of demands to my parents as well. So this is where our abilities, or our forced abilities, should come into picture, and try to understand the situation, and coordinate with the parents. Okay, so this is what makes everyone in the family, the elders in the family, realize, oh man, come on, these guys are taking that self explanatory, self, realization factors, and are acting accordingly, and all these things will pay off in the future, trust me. Okay, so this is the time where every one of us should enforce some kind of discipline, leadership at homes, and with the family members. Try to take few responsibilities, try to take some efforts from mom, dad, where you share their work at home. Okay, and not the office work. Okay, I'm referring to the works, your home related activities as such. No harm, it's our efforts. And we are not allowed to even get your help from, the helper society as well. So this is where I request, or this is, it's not even a request from me, I should say, it should be from within yourselves, within everyone, from within, individuals, that, we have to take the responsibility, the accountability of our homes, and act accordingly. Got it? So you think about those two situations, okay, the two scenarios, and post session as well. Okay, we will, I'll post these slides as such in the Slack workspace. Okay, and those who are unable to sign up to Slack, they can leave their email IDs. We'll reach out to them, these slides as well as the recording of the session. You can work on these scenarios, submit, and as I mentioned, all your responses count towards the possible internship with the journal team at InQ. Got it? And now let's move to the academic part or the professional arena. Okay, this is going to be interesting now. Okay, so the kind of changes what we are seeing now at schools, I've been having discussions with a few of the institutional heads, the high school as well as the college level. So till now, we're used to the typical classroom-based learning. Okay, every day morning, 8 o'clock, 8:30, we are at school, and then there's a prayer session, or then your classroom activity starts. You expect the teacher or your instructors to be in the classroom, guide everyone with the syllabus, the classroom lectures, and then your classwork, homework, and there is a lot of one-on-one interactions with the and in-person interactions, of course. And this is the way every one is used to attending the schooling system. Okay, professional scope at teams is more at the schools and colleges. Okay, and traditional way of going to attending the classes and all, at least in this part of the world, I haven't seen much of digital classrooms and interactions in most of the schools and college, unless it's more of webinars and other sessions. Okay, so now and going forward for this academic year, at least we will be in a situation where every student will have to attend the classrooms through the digital means. Okay, and like how we are experiencing it today, this is take it more of a practice session. What if I do see most of the students from epistemo. I'm glad recently there was a session which we had at the digital talks session and all for grade 9, 10, and in-person interactions is always different from virtual interactions, right? The effectiveness, and when we are not used to such kind of mode of working or mode of listening and understanding, right? Definitely it is going to be a pain, of course, a kind of a friction on the beginning days, and once we get used to, yes, this is going to be the best way. That's how we take it. So, and in this process there are a lot of new tools that are getting introduced to you as students, to the student community, as well as the instructor community, your teachers. And don't expect your teachers to be doing magic with those tools and all. Okay, so in my opinion, all the teenagers who are attending this session and across the country or the world, quickly, like how you're now exploring the Slack interface and all, it doesn't take much time for you guys to explore, and that self-explanatory part, and get acquainted as well as master those tools of communication and collaboration through which your classroom activity is getting delivered. But while it is an easy task for you, it could be a tough task for your instructional community, your staff, your school staff. So reaching out to them would not be straightforward, and try understanding the situation that it takes time for them to get acquainted and master these tools. I'm not referring to your ICT faculty as such, but somebody who's never dealt with the computers and the other subjects. They're more like used to the classroom teaching activities for decades. Okay, give them time. Okay, instead of criticizing, instead of getting into the panic mode, whatever the aspects you mentioned, like teamwork, collaboration, responsibility, take the responsibility, all those dimensions printed by you guys, right? Collaboration, just go and help your teachers. So here there is a need out of compulsion. Trait and skill, I'm not going to focus much here, for the reason, yes, of course, they are something innately present, as well as something which you gain out of your day-to-day activities and all. But there is a compulsion where you become the instructor, or the guide to your teacher community, in terms of helping them understand the ICT tools, got it? Or in terms of helping them use the communication and collaboration tools. Okay, and don't get into a criticism mode, or kind of don't expect things to happen smoothly. This is where a leadership is expected from the student community. Okay, sort of compulsion. So once your teacher community or your faculty gets used to this kind of a mode, shouldn't take more than a couple of weeks. okay, then things will go smooth. So for the next 1 or 2 months, the initial days, okay, if you find any difficulty, not just with your faculty or the teaching community, even with your fellow students in the classroom, if they're finding issues, or if they're finding any kind of friction in understanding the tool, or understanding how to navigate, and how to actually present their assignments, or get the classroom activity, okay, this is where you guys can take up leadership, and just be the torch bearers. Just step forward and raise your hand for any kind of help. And this is what makes things easy for the school managements, as well as for the your teaching community, and they can focus more on delivering the subject to you all, rather than wasting most of the time on the exploring the tools and getting trained as such. Okay, got it? So because I'm expecting most of you are around like 8th standard and above, so definitely you're attending your public examinations if it is 10th standard. And also the focus for your instructor should be more on the subject, delivering the subject to you, and it's your responsibility to give them comfort, so they deliver and they focus on giving the maximum in terms of the subject knowledge to you guys. All right, so it's out of our own benefit. Okay, so I would request you can identify 2 to 3 scenarios over here as well. Okay, just imagine, okay, in the next 1 month, it's more of a small time travel exercise. And if you've already started this kind of virtual interactions with the classroom and all, it's good. I know, I think 10th standard have already begun this interactions, but if it's the lower classes, right? Just imagine a situation where, like today's situation, or today's session is more like a simulation for your next few weeks or few months of activities. Okay, so just imagine, okay, could be at the initiation, or could be at the tool level, or could be at collaboration level. Okay, it's not a direct interaction, right? So try to imagine scenarios or situations where you might face friction, or your classroom, your classmates might find a difficulty in using the tools, or maybe your faculty. It could be in any dimension. Okay, and try to identify those 2 or 3 scenarios, draft them, and not more than 200 words. Okay, if you want to do it now in the next 15 minutes, yes, we can wait for the next 15 minutes, and let it be an activity. So the personal scope, I'll leave it to you. You can submit it later, but this is the prime focus for me is today for the professional, that is at the high school level or your college level, how you're going to take leadership. So the next 15 minutes to 20 minutes, I can give you time to think. You can take help from your parents as well, since most of you, as everyone in fact, are connected from homes. I do see a few parents accompanying and the sessions. So you can take help from your parents. You can take help from the participants as well. You can ping each other if you're from the same school or the other school. And for the next 15-20 minutes, I'll go on mute and I'll wait for your responses. But let me read out few responses. Of course, you can see them in the Slack interface, of course. So interesting responses. Taking into account the current situation, this is from Krishna Sri, it has been undoubtedly hard, especially for people to require help. For instance, they may need assistance with daily necessities. This is the personal scope, okay? And can't cope. So it's a responsibility to be able to help these people. It's important to reach out to people to keep them safe, okay? And making it a compulsion to help not just individuals, but the community, which is good. 2 to 3 scenarios in my home would be taking care of my sister, managing the house when my parents are not home, dealing with COVID-19. This is from Nishita Grandi. Very, very good, Nishita. This applies to everyone. This is good. The scenarios can be when you're in the school, perfect, and dealing with school events. This is from Jain. Okay. When you're given a group project, okay, Natasha, be more specific, okay, and you can work on this even after today's workshop session as well, because you will still have access to the workspace. Okay, you'll continue to have the access, and you can give a detailed explanation of the scenario. Okay. Krishna Sri, due to the impositions of the lockdown and the closure of school, I organized Zoom meetings for my classmates. Good. For us to be able to communicate and at the same time finish a small portion of the syllabus. Very good. Just as a kickstart. Yes, this is a perfect example of today's the need for such kind of leadership. So appreciate Krishna Sri for such initiative and your friends as well, your classmates. Lots of people also volunteered to host these meetings. Perfect. And Kaumudi, I would go through the internet and look for similar apps like Zoom, which could be easier for my classmates. Yes, you can explore them. You can train. You can start a mini training sessions as such. Okay, and there's a lot of content available in the internet from Google, whatever tool you're using. Those guys, those companies actually, they have their YouTube and social media channels, and it's quite simple. And if you get to understand them, master them in no time, yes, there's no harm in helping your friends understanding it. And Shashank, due to the lockdown, we had to cover a lot of syllabus, due to which I helped in organizing the Hangouts meeting with my classmates. Good. Where we covered a few chapters which would help us in the school. Good. This is good. Saharsh, okay. If an IMA has trouble communicating with someone, we could help the IMA by translating languages, which would really positively impact her mind. Good. And we could also take the initiative of teaching the class if the teacher is late. Okay. And this is good. Yeah. And this would help brush up the concepts a bit as well as give a head start in the class. Wonderful. And we could be a role model for our juniors. Exactly. And so that they grow up in a helpful and boosting environment. Good. And if one of our peers is having trouble in something, whether it be educational or any other field, we can help teach or console them depending on the scenario. Yes, this is a very anticipated situation, because for those who quickly grab things, for those who actually quickly understand things, will be straightforward. But as we observe, not everyone in the classroom or in your community has this kind of quick understanding over things. Okay, and this is where we pitch in. This is where we can take the responsibility, okay, and lead them towards getting clarity over things, and just not making sure they're not getting into any kind of a panic or depression, okay, and losing the confidence. Oh, I'm not able to cope up with the classroom activity. Oh man, come on, how am I going to submit this assignment, because now I didn't. They're pretty much used, or even I should say few of them addicted to classroom based activity itself. Okay, and switching from one mode to other, it takes time. uh, Not for everyone, but again, for few people, of course, they take time to adjust to new ways of communicating, working, learning. Okay, so life as a whole. And now, since this is a situation of compulsion, okay, we should not take 3 months or 6 months to get used to a new lifestyle as such. It's hardly like 1 week. We have to make sure everyone is on the same page, and then take it forward from here. Got it? This is good, Saharsh. So Parthaves, if I am part of an online class and if someone is unable to use the interface, I would always try to help someone through the app. Okay, you can be even more specific. Okay, on this response. And 2 to 3 scenarios in school would be, this is from Nishita, arranging online meetings, yoga, play, fun games, good. Okay, extracurricular as well. So you can plan few activities and between the families as well. Okay, you can get your parents introduced to each other. So now it is easy. Earlier to, arrange such sessions, probably, mismatch of timings, or, you have to make sure you organize such meetings outside the school hours. Okay, and now it's pretty straightforward. Probably, you can introduce your parents or family members to your best friends or the best buddies. Okay, and they get to know each other, and it's a new way of communicating and collaborating, right? To get to know, okay, your buddies and their families as such. So IKEA. So we have 2 more minutes, guys. Okay. And a sudden fire or other issues in school when you're expected to take responsibility and help out the others. Good. Yeah, this is in the general scenario, of course. And even IMS scenario, I'm really impressed, where we take the responsibility of, the other staff, the helping staff as well. We need to manage the situation, ensuring everyone's safety and not chaos. Yes. This is one point which I wanted to stress upon. When everything is good, everyone seems to be in a very cool, I'm just using a very, cool jargon here. The cool dude stuff is good with everyone. Okay. And when situations go wrong, in the panic mode is when, leadership, the real leadership comes out. That is when one should be stable. The more stable, the better. Okay. Do not think about, oh, how is it going to affect my life negatively. Okay. Those who can convert a threat into opportunity, I repeat, a threat into a new opportunity, will any day, get to the top in their life. The TOP, the way I define it, is threat to opportunity is what takes us to, top of our lives or professions or anywhere, our targets or life. So you can make it your mantra as well. So this is what I follow in my life. And 2 scenarios. So this is good, IKEA. So we need to, make sure the panic situations where there is sudden, outburst of something, even in accident scenarios when we're traveling and all, right? So you don't have time to really adjust to things and think over there. It's just in a fraction of seconds to a fraction of minutes. We have to get into, those leadership roles and all. I think we're good with this exercise now. So those who are still working on this can park it for now, continue to work on it after the session, and submit your answers in the Slack group. Okay. So let's get back to our next dimension or the next scope. Okay. Okay, the social level, that is at the community, country, and the world as a whole, at the larger scope. Okay, so we started off with the family situation. It's a very smaller scope where still we have lot of activities where we can take up some, leadership role in few areas and help the family, of course. And in a day-to-day life, of course, now since your schools are opening, and there will we discussed different scenarios where, we have to showcase our leadership skills in terms of the classroom activities, campus-based activities, helping the students and friends. Fine. Now, the most important, another most important thing. So this is more of a global accident, right? COVID-19 is more of a global accident, an accident made by our own mother world. Okay. And I'm sorry, guys, just give me 1 second. Okay. So sorry about it. So we need to now make sure the rest of the mankind, okay, rest of the world is safe, and we're not really uh, deteriorating the situation. In fact, we make sure, we're helping the unknown community, your family, your classroom, your teachers, they're all, day to day, you meet them, you know them, they know you, and offering help in those scenarios is different. Now, when it comes to the community level, okay, there are areas where, we have to maintain discipline at the community level. Could be your apartments, could be your villa communities, or your housing communities as such. Your there are few rules, there are few enforcements from the government as well as the community offices, wherein not just in the COVID-19 situation, even the regular scenarios as well, right? We have to make sure we come forward, we become torchbearers, and take responsibility as an individual level, and no harm in actually going forward and lending a helping hand to somebody, elders in your community. Yes, there might be elders whose family is living somewhere else, okay, and considering the current lockdown and all, they might have some situation, where they're helpless, so you can probably go and help them out. And your security, your community workers, okay, those who are taking care of your security, or the lawn activities, and cleaning activities as such, okay, of course maintaining the social distance factors. But if there is a way that we can offer help to them, that will be great. And that is where your leadership qualities, or your leadership comes out. And you don't have to do everything for them. You can, because I do understand the limitations at a family scope individually, what we are facing. But as I mentioned, right, in the situation of panic, the situation of panic is when we, our real leadership comes out. Okay, and this is where, if you think you can help, talk to your parents, talk to your family, or talk to your teachers. If there is a way, even the IMR situation, I don't know how they're coping up in this situation now. Okay, and I'm not sure if they'll be able to join your virtual sessions in order to help. Okay, so you can talk to your school principals or your staff, how are they coping up, inquire about them, about their welfare, how things are going, and if there is anything that you guys can really do to just better the situation. And at a country level, yes, of course, we have a lot of guidance, from starting with the prime minister, and from the government. There's a lot of enforcements as well as requests. Okay, and it's is expected or anticipated that we follow these. We adhere to whatever the guidance is coming from the elderly community. At the same time, if you feel okay, there is something that I can contribute in terms of a story, or in terms of any kind of a message, there are social platforms there. Take help of your parents as well, to reach out to government, or if you have any inputs which you think might definitely change or add value to the country, okay, and the people at a larger scope, don't hesitate. Okay, don't hesitate, and make it a habit now, and point it to the community as well, or the scope, and even at a even bigger scope, beyond the country, the larger scope. And this as a trait, I don't know, there is some pointer at trait. Yes, this is at all these dimensions. Okay, your activities, or your thoughts, or your actions could be out of your traits, personal traits. Yes, I want to do something, I want to bring a change in the country or at a global scope. Yes, and few of you might have acquired these skills from your family, from your schools as well. And those who have never ventured into such spaces, I would say this is the opportunity, or could be out of shyness or because of lack of awareness. This is the time when you can shout out. Okay, you have ideas, or you have something that you think will definitely add value, to the society, the country, as well as for the rest of the world. Yes, talk to your families, take their help, and shout out, push your thoughts to the world. Okay, but make sure they're not against the government, and play safe. That is what I would say. Okay, just make sure you're doing it under the guidance of your teachers or your parents as such. Okay, don't resort to something where you get into trouble. That is not the intent here. Okay, so leadership, we have discussed leadership at the personal scope, at the family, individual scope, and we have discussed it at primarily, your education. That is going to be the highest priority for anyone at, of your age groups. Yes, at the personal scope, day to day, when we're dealing with the family and with the rest of the world. Okay, let's assume, I'm not very happy to announce this, but yes, even if this kind of a lockdown extends temporarily or partial lockdown or even a permanent lockdown for the next few weeks or even few months, okay, there might, we haven't yet identified a medicine, a drug discovery and all is happening. Okay, so we are, after summer, yes, of course, it's going to be the raining season and your flu season pops out in the next few months. Okay, you got to be careful with the food that you consume, maintain your immunity at a set level, and expect your parents to get behind you, okay, to maintain your health and the immunity factors. That's where, okay, and pass on this message to your elderly people in the family. Make sure you take care of them, okay, and your collaboration with the classroom activities, helping the teachers, helping the fellow classroom members, your classmates as such, and all. Take all these, think about all these things, and the reason why this activity helps you is you yourself are coming up. Okay, things are coming from your, from within you. You're printing them, and now you're feeding them. It's not just, let's not just type them for the purpose of the workshop. Let's keep them as a reference. I will go through each and every response. I'll make sure we circulate your responses, through our medium. And in case if you want to come up with any kind of a video recording on this, or any of your thoughts, you're free to do that and post it in Slack. Okay, introduce yourself and what kind of a thought. It could be at a personal note, could be at a school or your academic level, and as well as your professional level, and at the global or the social aspect, right? You can come up with a story of your choice, and it could be a meme, it could be a poster, it could be an infographic. Okay, and you can submit it, and you can take this exercise now. I think it's already 12:30, though we started late. I think we still have around like 15 minutes of time to end this session. So if you want to take up this assignment now, please go ahead and identify those 2 to 3 scenarios. And I'm not restricting anyone here in terms of just a text document. If you want to use any tools, create a meme or a poster or an infographic. If you think 30 minutes is not the ideal time, yes, take more time. Work on something where you can give message to the world. Okay, guys, okay, this is what we can do. Okay, let's do this. And if it's a video, just whatever your response is, right, go ahead and post it in the Slack, and we'll be happy to actually spread them to the world through our social media, as well as into our network as such. So, and as I mentioned earlier, all your responses will count towards possible internships with Incube. Okay, and yeah, we might not accommodate everyone, but definitely there is a scope, there is a chance for you guys to get involved. And this is more for the artificial intelligence based journal, which is going to be launched in this month. And two of the students from Epistemo, Surya from grade 10, and Lokesh, who just passed out of grade 10, are working with us. They're doing wonderful job, and they've set a new baseline in terms of how the high schoolers, teenagers can really perform in the technology space. And I'm anticipating more such participation from all the schools and from all the college community. All right, so this is going to be, we're going to host such sessions in the near future, out of giving back to the society, as well as, our responsibility towards, society, as well as, as a human beings as well, leaving the business front and all. Okay, so this is now the final assignment part of the today's workshop. You can start working on it right away. And there's no time limit, though we have mentioned it as 30 minutes. I would give you the full Sunday to work on it, and probably you can submit your answers by end of day today, 6 p.m. or 9 p.m. Let's make it 9 p.m. Okay. I'll print these instructions as well in the Slack. And yeah, this is quickly about InCube and our offerings. While we take up the questions, okay. So we just have 10 more minutes to wrap up the session. So I'm leaving the workshop activity or the exercise outside the workshop window. You can submit this by end of day today around like 9 p.m. Today, end of day. Okay. And we'll just take any questions. You can use the chat window to raise your questions, just in case if you have anything that you're anticipating from our team. There's a question from Arish Khan. Okay. Okay, I'm in grade 7. Which programs are ideal for me? So, okay, in terms of School of Innovation, okay. So, I mean, we have come up with this 3 programs. One is the Pre-University Leadership Program, PULP, is what we call, and Smart Projects is where people get involved in the projects in summer camps. The more details are pretty much in the website. I would recommend, if you're not looking for a technology-based program and you more want to explore on, the leadership dimensions when it comes to the actual work, not, as more on the professional lines, PULP is a good program to begin with, definitely. And this is anticipated to start in the month of July. It's going to be a quarterly program. So I would suggest, Arish, you can probably, go with this program or any such programs. There are even other programs in edX as well, where you can probably go explore those free sessions. And one of the program I would say is in the mathematics. I'd leave those in the Slack. Understanding mathematics, how you actually simplify mathematics as such and all. These are, you don't have to pay for those programs in edX. So they are good place to begin with, actually. So
Pretty late.
that's fine, yeah. So Surya,
Yeah.
do you want to add anything about today's session or leadership in general? I know we've been discussing and you played.
I mean,
Mhm,
in my opinion, leadership is more than anything about capability. You have to be capable of
mhm,
you have to be capable of finishing the task that you're giving to people and actually lead them to where they want to be. And
mhm,
because our generation is always online, and I mean, this is pretty cliche, please don't call me a boomer, but
mhm,
because our generation is more informed than ever, I think we are the most capable of guiding people who don't exactly know everything about the virus
mhm,
to uh, to actually knowing about this and safeguarding themselves.
mhm.
So in a time like this, we are the ones who need to be leaders. We need to take up the responsibility to educate our masses,
Mhm.
and I think that is the most that we can do for our community right now.
Great. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, so I just wanted to talk about the social distancing factor. Yeah,
Mhm,
you said whenever you get a chance to um like help someone.
mhm,
So we all know that like the police officers and the nurses are going out even in this lockdown period because their
mhm,
job is important. Uh,
mhm,
but why do we need to keep the people who work for the yard or like the people who are maintaining the place? Like we know the lockdown
mhm,
is happening for more 15 days or something till April 25. So
mhm.
why can't we wait till then to release these people?
Uh, who in specific? Those
Like
you're working in?
the people who like maintain the gardens of many gated communities or uh,
Mhm,
the people who come to work in many gated communities it's banned, but in some they
mhm,
let them come in, and also many
mhm,
antisocial um,
mhm.
groups they are aiming to spread the virus.
Yes. So this is where, right, we have to be self-conscious and try to make sure we personally, okay, are refraining to meet, greet, and even maintain distance. We cannot avoid everyone. At the same time, if you realize, okay, if you sense some kind of a risk, stay away. And you can even give this kind of orientation to your fellow community members as such, or you can take it to your community leadership, whoever is part of those associations as such. Just raise a voice to them saying, like, why are these guys being allowed, or just make sure things are going. This is where we expect leadership from everyone. Okay, if you're hesitant to approach, probably you can talk to your father or your mother. Okay, just because this is for everyone, right? It's for everyone's safety. And also, if you're observing, so be vigilant about what's happening around you. Yes.
Yes.
And if you sense anything wrong, discuss with family first. Don't come to a conclusion. Okay, so because whatever we see is not the truth, they might be even helping others as such. So not to rationalize things and just narrow down and getting into a narrow thinking and all. Discuss with your family, get
Yeah,
a clear understanding on the situation, and then act accordingly. Okay.
sure.
But
Thank
as
you.
you suggested, yes, it's good to resist or stop such kind of activities. But when in case of larger communities, right, where there are 100 of plus or 500 to 1,000 apartments as such, cleanliness is again most important thing considering the current scenario. And I'm sure community personnel are taking proper measures to make sure they're quarantined and the staff are staying on the campus rather than going home and commuting back and all. So good,
Uh,
good point.
I also want to point out that the government is supposed to put ration supplies for the
Mm-hmm,
poor people like living in slums or something.
mm-hmm,
But in Hyderabad, mostly the ration supplies don't come that often.
mm-hmm,
And also the problem is that the ration does not get dropped to the exact point, as the
mm-hmm,
people who spread the ration stuff, they just
mm-hmm.
drop it in front of the house. That is
Okay.
very inconvenient, as social distancing may
Mm-hmm,
happen, as there are some time limits in which people are supposed to take the ration. And
mm-hmm.
if this continues, the ration can go bad and the people can starve.
So these are the situations, the third exercise that is given to you. Okay.
Mm.
So you've now identified a scenario. Okay. So what could be the probable solution to this? This is a problem solving exercise, right?
Yeah.
So now you got a scenario. Okay. You raise the scenario. Fine. How do you think, this can be resolved? What is your approach towards solving this? Or you can probably team up with few of your, few of the members in the Slack group, and probably you guys can come up with a suggestion and take it forward.
Okay. Thanks.
Mhm. This was good. Say hey, Ayushi. So that's your younger sister. Hello. What's her name? I think you're on mute. Anyways, yeah. Isha. Okay. All right. So I think we are pretty much, it was a good session. I hope we are able to add some value, all of us together. Okay. So this is an initiative from me. So I just didn't want to give any message or, whatever I feel. I wanted it to be more like a group exercise. So we have got real good inputs from everyone who joined, and I appreciate all the parents who let your, kids join this session. Please pass on my appreciation to all your families as such. Okay. And yeah, let's keep this activity going offline as well, and feel free to use the Slack workspace. This is free. Okay. So we have taken the leadership in terms of getting you all together, all the teams. Okay. The power from teams can add a lot of, can create a lot of synergy. And add a lot of value to the world. Okay, so become those leaders, become the torch bearers, and take the responsibility, influence the society, collaborate with the society. Okay, and team get involved in the teamwork. Okay, and yes, decision making, be more specific, more clear in self, as well as professional, as well as the social decisions that you take and how you act. Okay, and I'm looking forward for real good outcomes after this session from everyone. Okay, and your submissions will be reviewed, and we will reach out to those prospective interns with the for the AI journal as well. So feel free to go and browse through growingcube.com for any of the programs that you're interested in, and we'll take it forward from there. So I think we're good to close this session for today. Okay, a big thank you to everyone who participated. And Siddharth, I'm a very big fan of your smile. You remember we interacted in the school. Okay, so throughout the session, yeah, your smile made me actually, stick to the screen. So thank you so much, guys, everyone, and of course Jane as well. I loved your, all your funny expressions during the session. Yeah. All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining, and have a great weekend as well as academic year ahead. Okay. Be safe, stay home, and be responsible and take the leadership forward. Okay. Thank you all. Now we're good to sign off.